Okay, okay, right. It's been a while since I've had the old specs on. Good news is the light is not reflecting too badly off of me. So instead, I look like that one hacker friend in the late '90s college movie.
But now we're both what's the word? Bespec testicles?
Bespectacled.
Bespectacled?
Dude, what is it? I was watching like a like underwater nature documentary earlier, and some of the shit you find at the bottom of the ocean, I swear to God, this rock had a scrotum, and I don't know how. Seriously, if I can find it and take a photo of it, it looks like a scrotum mixed with a nose, and it's hanging off of a rock, and it's like. That's a living fucking thing, and it's at the ocean floor. And it looks like a cross between Squidward's nose and somebody's nutsack. It's crazy.
Wow. The mysteries of the underwater world of
That's
nutsacks.
one hell of an intro. That's one hell of an intro.
Yeah. It's funny what you were talking about. This is only going to be meaningful to like the maybe one or two people that know what I'm talking about. But you talked about looking like somebody from a movie or something. My wife and I have been watching. There's a show on Apple TV called Hijack, starring Idris Elba.
Oh, cool.
And it's a British show.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of German people in this season, but overall, it's a British show. But there's a kid on the rail train or whatever that they're on this season, and my wife was all like, "You got to tell Eddie that he has a doppelganger on this show."
Oh shit. Okay.
There's a long-haired guy. It's not identical, but he does have a lot of your qualities. But there's like a long-haired guy. Hijack season 2, long-haired guy on train. That's probably gonna pull it up. I don't know.
Train guy.
Hijack. Yeah.
Hijack season 2, long hair train guy.
I'll try to look it up too. Really.
Okay.
Hijack
Interesting.
season 2, long-haired train guy.
Long hair train guy. Oh yeah.
Oh, here we go. I found him.
Okay.
Let me make this picture big. There he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
He's got a very Eddie Sparxx-ish kind of thing. We've seen him from other angles and stuff too.
Have you ever? We've brought up the Johnny Depp meme before, haven't we?
But there's the real image right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Idris Elba.
However
you say his name. What were you saying? You brought up the what?
I'm sure I've shared it on here before, but it was a meme that my friends showed me years ago, and they said, "Dude, we thought this was you for a while." And if you look up, was it like L'Oreal, L'Oreal shampoo, Jack Sparrow.
L'Oreal shampoo, Jack Sparrow.
It might be. What is it? Hang on.
Well, I mean, we've already covered you looking like Jack Sparrow at times anyway.
Wait, hang on. What is it? Jack Sparrow shampoo meme.
Oh, okay.
Here it is. Yep. Okay, hold on. Have you got it?
No, I don't have it. Sorry, folks. This or you're welcome. This is the beginning of the episode right here. I don't even know what we're talking about today. I totally forgot.
It's this one. I actually had to do a double take because a lot of the time when someone says I have a doppelganger, I'm like, yeah, but this one actually kind of spooked me.
Oh yeah, so this is the same one that you sent me that day when we were talking about you looking like Jack Sparrow. I think that was on the suicidal tendencies one because you had the bandana or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the tale of Captain Jack Sparrow. Anyway, I've never even seen those movies. I think I
have a long time
I saw
ago.
the first one time maybe, but I don't remember it at all. Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome to Cranked and Ranked. That was a very long. We're like a legit podcast now because we're like,
Yes.
we're not going to actually talk about the thing we're supposed to talk about yet, and we're not even going to do it yet because I have an email to read.
Yay!
Viewer mail.
Ba-dum-bum-bow.
If you would like your viewer mail read on an episode of Cranked and Ranked, send me an email at oldheadpodcast@gmail.com. There's no guarantee that I will read your email. But I want to read this one. It's a lot about me, but there's some Cranked and Ranked on here. But it's from, he's from Denmark and his name is spelled Niels. So it's not Niles. Niels? 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 I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, dude. I'm sorry, but I'm American. I don't know how to say anything right. Is it not Niels or Nails? I don't know. Whatever. I know it's not Niles because that's spelled differently, I think.
I just know that you're holding back from reading it in a Lars Ulrich voice.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Denmark.
Yeah, I didn't even put that together. Hold on, let me do this real quick.
He fucking left the band!
He fucking sent the email!
Anyway, he sent this email and it says, hi, Stephen. That's my name, Stephen. Niels from Denmark here. I've watched your videos and listened to CNR for a long time, and I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate what you do. A couple of years ago, I went through a period of deep depression and stress, and your old Headbangers Ball videos really lightened up those days and helped me get through them. Some of your episodes of Cranked and Ranked are so good they've become comfort listens when I just want to listen to something familiar to bring my mood up. Your Carcass, Corn, and Iron Maiden rankings are big favorites of mine. Cheers to Eddie as well. I really like your take on a lot of things in regards to music, bands evolving and being brave, the love for the strange mid-90s album, standing up against groupthink mentality, and so forth. Carry on with that. I will, sir. Thank you. I always appreciate when people call out those things that I feel are very important. And then he recommends a band that I have heard called Invocator. They're a Danish band, but I know the first two Invocator albums. They're really good. They're two of those albums that like I gave up looking for on vinyl because they're either not on vinyl or they're way too expensive. So somebody reissue the first two Invocator albums. But anyway, then it says, lastly, congratulations on the Chuck Billy interview. Next up, Lars. Oh, I hope so. Keep up the good work, and I hope I spelled your name correctly. You did, with a V, and I hope I said your name correctly. Niels. Jesus Christ. Correct me if I'm wrong. And anybody else with difficult names for Americans to say, if you want to email me at oldheadpodcast@gmail.com, do that, and I'll butcher your name as well. And but I appreciate that the whole thing, because we love it when our podcast is of some value
Absolutely.
to somebody.
Yeah. I've got podcasts that are also comfort listens, and to know that that our voices are used in that way is a very heartwarming thing. Like at the end of the day, all we want this podcast to do is slightly improve the world and act as a music conversation come therapy lesson.
Sure, yeah. It's I think that the great thing about this podcast is it's equally beneficial for us as it is for anybody out there. Like we get a lot out of it because this is kind of a therapy session for us. Especially for somebody like me that I'm very antisocial. I don't. This gets a lot of things off of my mind that I don't want to bore my wife with. But then also I have been in those. I've been in those situations in my life where there's so much going on in your head and you just feel like you're a mess and you can't sleep. But it's always helpful if you have something that you can turn on and you're like, oh, now like for at least an hour or so I feel pretty good.
For sure.
And we're happy to be that. And I always just like, the few takeaways from what I do is I don't want anyone to ever think that, I'm correct about the things that I say or that I'm some sort of expert. I think, comparatively speaking, maybe I could be considered a minor expert on some things, but the big thing for me is just I want to get everybody thinking in a more open and honest and positive way about music.
Absolutely.
Like be honest with what you like. Just stop being a bunch of posers.
Yeah.
You don't have to fit into any fucking mold. You don't have to listen to a style of music, and you don't have to think one way about something because everybody else does. You don't have to do that. Just be more thoughtful.
We didn't get into music for fucking rules.
That's right. That's true, Lars. We did not.
No, we did not.
So anyway, that's a nice little email. I always love getting those. So thanks for sending that. And now we move on to the task at hand today.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is,
go
ahead.
I was gonna say this has been a long time coming. This one, because myself and pop punk have a complicated history, but this I think has truly brought things full circle. And I would firmly not only consider myself an enjoyer of some pop punk, I would consider myself a pop punk fan.
All right,
and
because really the only other band I would consider pop punk that we've done is Green Day, right? Like NoFX is a punk band and they have pop punk elements, but I wouldn't call NoFX a pop punk band.
Yeah, and there was a time that my opinion of pop punk as a genre had been colored by an unfortunate pairing of some shitty people in my life and an oversaturation of it.
Oh yeah.
On music channels that previously had a lot of variety going on.
Yeah.
So picture this: you are 11 years old in just coming into 2010. You're 11 years old. You've just discovered rock music, and you turn on the TV to either Kerrang or Scuzz. Scuzz was the slightly cooler one that played some heavier shit more often, but those two channels really. I came in right at the end of rock's dominance in the 2000s, because rock was still a pretty big player in the 2000s.
Like actual rock music, yes.
Yeah, compared to what would soon come in the early 2010s. So I came in right at the end of that 2000s rock boom. And at the time, I liked everything. But then, slowly but surely, all of the things that I was discovering that I was into, like thrash metal, anything really that was Metallica adjacent, anything that was like grunge or anything like that, I slowly watched pop punk and nu metal just push everything out. And it went from these blocks of you get an hour of this, you get an hour of that, you get an hour of this, hour of that, hour of this, hour of that. It slowly but surely turned into this legacy act of, oh, we're going to play the same 20 pop punk and nu metal videos over and over again.
Yeah.
In these blocks of broadcasting. And in the end, I mean, I know that in the 2010s, you had the luxury of being able to stream shit, and really it didn't matter. But it was the principle of it that I was offended by, and it seemed at the time it wasn't okay for me to be who I was, almost.
Yeah.
And it felt like everybody around me was either going the metalcore route or the pop punk route, and I was the thrash glam grunge guy who was here like, where do I fit in all this? Pop quiz hot shot, you fucking don't. So I was like, well, fuck it. And it made me
shout out to the speed guy that has all the speed.
Yeah. To be honest, like it made me, that paired with some unfortunate characters in my life had created a monster, really. And I became actually kind of an elitist asshole for a while.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't until, like, I'll throw my hand up and say in college I said some insufferable shit. But when I got to uni, I slowly began to realize, I was like, oh, you can like anything and everything, and that's praised. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, this is what it's like to be around smart people.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's like once you learn, the two golden rules, in my opinion, you can like anything you want. And then number two is you can not like whatever you don't like. Just shut the fuck up about it.
Exactly. And do you know what I've realized over the years is that I never hated this stuff.
Yeah.
I hated what was happening around me, and unfortunately that was the soundtrack to that.
Yeah.
And now I'm so far removed from that, I find myself in this thing of Sum 41 fucking rip. And that's the band we're covering today.
Sum 41.
That was we are doing Sum 41.
It's similar to Smurl over on Summum Bonum. He still has an issue with Metallica because in the 80s he was a punk kid and the guys in the Metallica shirts were assholes to him.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
Which funny enough, once you get to the 90s, with me, I was the metal kid, and the punk kids were the ones that wanted to beat me up for being into metal. So I'm just like, it just depends on like how old you are, what your situation is. I think somewhere in your young age, if you're any kind of thoughtful human being, you're going to run into those unthoughtful people that are going to sometimes ruin shit for you. And for me though, like with Sum 41 is an interesting band because when they came onto the scene, like everybody else, I discovered them through the video for Fat Lip when it came out, but I was already in my 20s at that point. And at that point, especially in the music scene I was in Austin, Texas, every band was a pop punk band. Like there were not really any metal bands, and the ones that were doing metal, they were doing that sort of Pantera ripoff thing that I just was not into trying to do. And so I knew so many bands that were just trying to be either Green Day or Blink-182 or some combination of both. And so the pop punk bands of the era around Sum 41 in the early 2000s, I immediately was just like, more of this shit with the same riffs that the other bands before them had already done. And so it's so I didn't like a lot of it, but I remember like really enjoying the vibes of Sum 41. And it not just with Fat Lip, but with In Too Deep was like another single off that album. And those are both songs that undeniably
mega hits.
I was also just like, well, I can't deny that these are good songs. So I can't, they're fun songs, they're enjoyable songs, but not only that, Sum 41 is a band that to me represents the ending of my MTV. Because Sum 41 and bands like that, those are the last bands I remember seeing just regularly played on MTV. It seemed like soon after that, like, you had like your other bands around that time. Like we talked about Linkin Park as well. The bands that from the early 2000s, there was a period of time where there was still the M on MTV still stood for music. But soon after that, like it was like once this initial, the popularity of like Sum 41 and some of these bands and some of the pop artists of the day, as soon as they ran their course, it seemed like that it immediately started shifting away from music being of any importance whatsoever. So there's a bit of like there's like a bittersweet thing where like there's some 41 that I listen to and go, this is so good, but it just makes me feel like an era of music being treated like it was important is over, because that also coincides with like Napster, and all of a sudden people are all like, why shouldn't I get my music for free? Because you're a dumb piece of shit. That's why. So it was really a bad, the transition was not a good thing. And so like, because of, that, like, I don't remember hearing anything past the one of the songs from Does This Look Infected? There was a video from that, and that was
waiting.
Probably still waiting. And that was the last time that I remember hearing anything about them, because I stopped paying attention to MTV. MTV stopped paying attention to music for the most part. And I just wasn't in that scene anymore. I wasn't trying to be, in pop punk bands, and I didn't. A lot of that music just seemed like a lot of rehash, which a lot of it was. Some of it done by Sum 41, which we will get to when we talk about this. But years later, I started to feel a weird nostalgia for certain things in the early 2000s, and I was like, wow, that must mean, oh yeah, it's 20 years ago now, at that point that I started really paying attention. And Sun 41 was just a band that kind of stuck around in my mind, like, yeah, this was fun and they were a bit different, and let me go check them out. And so I started listening to their first few albums, and I was like, this shit's really, really good. And then that led me to read Derek's book that he wrote, which is a really interesting read if you like that kind of thing. It's I wouldn't say it's the greatest, rock and roll book ever written. It's another rock and roll book from a different perspective. And he's also my age. So like some of these bands, I look at them and I go, oh, if I had been in one of these bands and I had gotten success, this could have been my life. Because in certain ways, Derek and I are similar people. In other ways, we're very different. But there's certain things about his personality that I go, oh man, I could have easily fallen into these traps and had this shit happen to me. So it just made me really, as much as like you'll hear me talk about, there's a good chunk of this music that doesn't really do much for me. But overall, I look at this band and I go, they were kind of like the last of a fun breed of bands from that time, and so they represent kind of I don't know, one of the last fun moments in popular rock music, I guess.
Yeah.
But we're doing 9 albums, which technically they only have 8 albums, but I think anybody listening that knows the album would say, why would you not talk about Half Hour of Power?
Hour of Power belongs here.
Which is 100%. Kind of a mini album. So, but I still consider it an album, and we'll talk about that one as well. So we're doing all 9 of their major releases and ranking them from least to greatest in our opinions.
And also,
go ahead.
Just chiming in, Half Hour of Power, by its very nature, is longer than Rain and Blood. So
yes, so it's an album.
Yeah.
Also, like, because I know there might be a couple of people watching that are new to this show, and if you're one of those people that like was the right age and you got into Sum 41 and they were like a big band and you followed them all the way through, I would be really interested to know in the comments like your ranking and how you feel about some of these albums, because obviously, as you just heard, we have 2 different experiences, both of which we kind of caught up with them later. Even though we're 20 years apart in age, we both like knew of this band and then later on, found our way to listening to them and liking things about them. And so, that's always interesting to me. The people that, because I understand, like, you're a different age, it's a different time, you have a different life, and like I always like to hear somebody's experience with music, when it's like special to them and when it's like part of their life. I love hearing those stories. Anyway,
so some 41-year-old knows,
which I think in the book that he was explaining that their name came from like. They were talking. They had it marked on the calendar when the next Warped Tour was supposed to come through, and it was 41 days, and so they called themselves Sum 41, something like that. It's not really a deep meaning to Sum 41, but
catchy name though. It's fun to say. Sum 41.
I mean, you had your word and number bands that were happening a lot. Not all of them pop punk. There were some that were new metal and other stuff that were doing the whole number and word names. But anyway,
like Bing Bong 6ix9ine.
Is that it's that one. Except for Sum 41 actually started off as Sum 41. It wasn't like Blink 182 where they were just called Blink, and then some random band called Blink went, no, you can't, and then they changed it to Blink 182.
When did Blink 182 form? They formed in
Mid-90s?
92. 92 they actually formed.
Yeah, their first album came out, and I was still in high school, I believe. Because I remember getting
97, I think, the first one that came out, right?
Is that Cheshire
Dude
Cat?
Ranch.
Cheshire
Oh, no.
Cat.
Shit. Cheshire Cat. No, you are correct. There is actually...
When's Cheshire
yeah,
Cat?
I did not know about Cheshire Cat.
What year is that? 95?
Well, yeah, 95.
Okay, I knew, yeah, because
94.
I knew that I was still in high school when their album came out because that's got high school vibes written all over it. Dude Ranch came out, and I had graduated from high school, and I was supposed to be quote unquote an adult. We'll get to Blink 182 because I have a lot of love for that band. I'm still critical about certain things about them, but I do have a lot of love for that band. But for right now, we get into Sum 41. And yeah, let's
While we're
get
on the subject, can I just get something out of my system?
Sure.
Where are you? Okay, there we go.
Thanks, Tom.
There we go. Sorry, every time Blink 182 comes up, I have to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Now we'll talk about Blink 182 some of the show. Anyway, 9 albums, and we're going to rank them right now and have a big discussion about them. Thank you for being here. And as usual, I will let Eddie Sparxx start us off with his number 9 Sum 41 album.
Okay, my number 9 Sum 41 album is Screaming Bloody Murder.
Okay.
And my reasons for this are it's darker and moodier than Underclass Hero, but it's still not fully re-entering the metal zone quite yet either. And it's kind of this middling album that doesn't feel like it goes too far in any one direction. And it's got its moments, but this album to me, at this point in the discography, there's a trajectory, right? They start out as this pop punk band with an overt love for old school metal that they would bring out from time to time, with their, Pain for Pleasure alter egos where they'd swap instruments and play, the odd song here or there.
Yeah.
But through their albums, there's this, from the first 2, and then you get to Does This Look Infected, where there's some overt thrash metal influence entering the songwriting without necessarily fully taking it over. So they, Still Waiting is a great example of that, where, the chorus is pop punk, but the verse is straight thrash. And it's that combo of the two that they really forged like a unique identity in this scene with. And then Chuck, they just went full-blown mixture of the heaviest shit they could write paired with some slower, softer songs, which made for a nice juxtaposition. When you get to Underclass Hero and Dave Baksh, is it Bashk or Baksh?
I don't know how to pronounce his last name right. He's just Dave.
His nickname's Brown Sound, so we're gonna go with that. So Brown Sound left after Chuck.
Yeah.
And Underclass Hero and Screaming Bloody Murder are the 2 albums without him. He returned later down the line for 13 Voices and Onward.
Yeah.
But the thing I found was that after Chuck, and without the quote-unquote metal guy, because he's the guy that shreds like Kirk Hammett over their music, you've got Underclass Hero. They were like, right, well, that one struck me as, fuck, we lost the metal guy. Let's do a pop-punk return to our roots sort of thing. And they did that. With Screaming Bloody Murder, it felt like they went down the moodier, heavier route again, but they didn't go... It felt like they didn't quite go far enough with that one, and they tried a lot of like cool, moody stuff, but Screaming Bloody Murder, in comparison to the very like striking title, it actually didn't jump out to me nearly as much as I expected it to.
Yeah.
Because I expected them to go, fuck, maybe going back to pop punk wasn't the evolution we wanted, and they went like full-blown metal again or something like that. And I want to state for the record as well, I'm not trying to get them to forsake their pop-punk past altogether and become a metal band.
Also, can we agree that in the case of this band, aside from a handful of things. Using the term metal is very loose with this band because,
for sure, yeah.
There's metal elements, but I wouldn't. There's nothing that they did that's a full song that I went, that's a metal song. It's just heavier rock stuff to me with some metal influenced riffs, but whatever.
I would maybe say a notable exception being some of the tracks on Chuck.
Sure,
because I think Chuck, if you're going to make an argument that they did a full metal song, you've got the bitter end from that one. That I'll get to that. I'll get to that one because I have an interesting take. Okay. But that's way later. Spoilers. Again, like I say, Screaming Bloody Murder this album, it strikes me as, I'm pretty sure they went into it with the intentions of doing an EP, and the recording ended up taking more time as they kept writing new shit, and they were like, shit, well, let's keep seeing what forms. And I think if they'd kept this a bit tighter, maybe it'd be a stronger release. But ultimately, this one to me doesn't quite jump out at me as all the others do above it. So for me, this one felt like it felt like a misguided step in a direction to evolve again. But it doesn't quite jump out of the speakers the way the predecessors or follow-ups do to me. I think the production as well has a lot to do with that too. That early 2010s overly compressed loudness stuff. That being said, though, it's well done for what it is, but it's not my go-to. I've noticed a lot of Sum 41 fans really love it, and that's great. That's great that you do. This one, unfortunately, it's a ranking, and something has to go at the bottom. And for me, it was Screaming Bloody Murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
My number 9 is Underclass Hero from 2007,
which is my number 8. So we can camp out here for a while.
All right, cool. So for people that are Sum 41 fans, you're going to hear me kind of going on both sides here because I will have a lot of criticisms about a lot of stuff. But the stuff that I like, you're going to hear some really high praise. But also, I think I got a little bit informed by reading Derek's book because it is very clear that he fell into the trap that a lot of successful rock musicians and songwriters get trapped into, which is all of a sudden there's a whole lot of pressure on you to write songs that your audience is going to be into, but also try to write songs that are going to be hits because now you have a lifestyle. Now you have fancy houses. You got a fancy girlfriend. You got there's the around the 2010s to 27 and a little bit further on, the music to me all sounds like to quote is it from Almost Famous? To quote it, it sounds like lifestyle management. It sounds like trying to write music to make sure you can still be a noteworthy, popular band and make some money in it and keep yourselves in your houses that you're in. And it doesn't mean they're not enjoying doing the music, and it doesn't mean there isn't good music that comes out of that mindset because we could easily say some of our favorite musicians are millionaires. So I understand that element of it, but I think when you're a young person and you get thrust into that, I think sometimes it can lead things to go down a very bland, middle of the road, grasping at straws kind of path. And with Underclass Hero, there was already a point where, and I'm going to call out Derek on this because he's the main songwriter, where he does rehash a lot of riffs and song structures. We'll get to it a little bit later, but sometimes literally taking another band's song and redoing something from it and making it part of a song that he's writing. And it's too obvious for it to not be something that he knew he was doing. Like I'm here to defend people that get something in their head and don't realize they're actually writing something that they heard somewhere else, but they don't remember hearing it. That happens all the time. But there are a few instances on here where I'm like, he had to have known. But at this point, stepping back into the pop punk world and still kind of having these sort of generic and repetitive styles of songs, at this point, they literally could have been any rock band from 2007. Like, because it's not pop punk enough to really be like, oh, this is pop punk. It's still this sort of like middle of the road rock music of the day. And so while there's no album on here that doesn't have enjoyable moments for me, because there will be things here and there that go, oh, that was cool. Or, it happens here and there, but there's a few albums in a row here where it's pretty low on the amount that I really enjoy. And Underclass Hero is just at the bottom of the pile because it just feels too much like a, well, what do we do now? I guess this works. And it doesn't work for me. So my number 9, Underclass Hero, is your number 8, Underclass Hero.
It is my number 8, and I knew that for me the 2 albums without Brown Sound were gonna be at the bottom, because when I was listening to the albums in particular, I noticed that a huge part of like some of the personality of the band came from having, oh, we're a pop punk band, but we also have Mr. Kirk Hamster over here, you know, to be able to bring something unique, which was the overtly Metallica-esque guitar soloing. And I think when he departed after Chuck, there was this thing of, well, I've got a fair few notes here actually on this album. So like, it's the first of the 2 albums without Dave Brownsound Bashk. That's going to be a meme now. Yeah. Is it back or bash?
Who knows? Just call him Brown Sound, you know.
Call him Brown Sound.
He knows
Brown
we're talking
Sound's
about
cool.
him.
Hell yeah. And it's cool to have a nickname too. I like that. I like when bands do that.
Yeah.
But you and I have both made it very apparent that we don't like when a band does an album that feels like retreating.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
This album, many would call it a return to their roots. I would argue that they actually had metal influences on Half Hour of Power and
absolutely.
There's the whole Pain for Pleasure thing.
Yes.
They always had that there.
Yeah.
This is the first time. This is the one time where it was like, oh, these guys are trying to do what others are doing because it's popular.
Yeah.
And it felt like a return to the band's pop punk origins a little bit, but with some emo thrown in because it's 2007.
Also, on top of that, it's not just Dave, because there's something that happens where the first 3 albums for sure, because some of the metal stuff, it's Steve the drummer on vocals.
Yes.
Also in some of the like hip hop kind of tracks.
So he would do some rapping too.
What happens with the band for me is that it seems like a collective of these different dudes with these different influences and personalities, and then all of a sudden, it even happens on Chuck. From Chuck on, it's just the Derek Whibley show. Is that how you say his name? It's just his show. The voices, even when Dave comes back, I don't think there's enough of him in the music that all of a sudden I go, oh shit, awesome. It's I just think something happens with around the time of Chuck where I just feel like there's not a unity of these 4 kind of quirky individuals anymore. I'll throw the bass. I don't even remember the bass player's name. I'm sorry, dude. But I'll throw him in there too, because I feel like he was equally important for like the identity of the band and being like this cool, unique band that they were. He was in the band the whole fucking time, though, I believe. I don't think he was the original bass player, but he was there from album number 1.
Jason McCaslin, I believe his nickname is Cone. Yeah, Cone.
Cone, yes.
Yeah. So we got Derek Whibley, Brown Sound, Cone, and Steve-O. That's
Yeah.
their Rust in Peace lineup.
Shout out to
You know?
Steve, who does a really cool YouTube channel.
I saw that actually. Yeah, I've been checking in on some of the stuff he's been putting out.
Yeah,
Really
his videos are really fun.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I'm sorry. Underclass Hero is what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like I say, you and I, neither of us are fans of albums that feel like a retreat. This album sounds like the band heard American Idiot and the Black Parade and said, well, we lost our metal guy, so let's hop back on the pop punk thing and try and be a little more contemporary.
I feel like especially American Idiot is a big, you can hear it in the music of them starting to try to write things like that. Which makes sense because it was a really big album, still is a really big album today. So
yeah. And there's no doubt in my mind that they heard it and they liked it and they wanted to, you know, I mean, I've written things because I wanted to make that sound, you know.
Yeah.
But it's when you go in, you know, it's like I've borrowed, you know, a MIDI drum track or two and written a completely new song over the top of it. It's when even the guitar tones match American Idiot where I'm like,
yes,
you know, okay, this feels surgically created to be exactly the same, you know? But, you know, I know it sounds like we're bashing them. They did a great job as, you know, for doing this style. They nailed it. But it really does feel like the band had carved out a thing they were the best at. For example, blending late 90s, early 2000s pop punk with thrash metal. And then upon the exit of the lead guitar guy, retreated back to just pop punk. But this time, instead of doing Sum 41's version of pop punk, which they had done in the beginning, they were doing other bands' version of pop punk. And it didn't feel like Sum 41. It, like you say, it really does feel like any big band of this era could have put this out.
Yes.
That's the difference.
To use a comparison for the metal world, it's a lot of bands like, in my opinion, Iron Maiden, where they get to a point where all of a sudden they're just making a similar middle of the road Iron Maiden album that doesn't have any of the cool little twists and turns or surprises from earlier Iron Maiden albums, but they've ironed it out to, we are Iron Maiden now. Here is Iron Maiden album number 12. Here you go. Hope you like it.
Guys, the one before went dun 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 dun. This one goes dun 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 dun. You know, it's one of those things. Some bands fall into the trap of trying to imitate themselves, and some fall into the trap of imitating others. But like I say, this is still a great, energetic band. It's just that this is the first time they were putting stuff out that felt, to me, unoriginal. You know, like from the ground up. There wasn't any. There wasn't anything jumping out to me that this is a Sum 41 album. It was, this is a pop punk album. And you know, it didn't really have that stamp of, you know, we're gonna do a Beastie Boys bit here, and So, without further ado, back to you.
Okay, I love how these were our bottom two. My number 8 is "Screaming Bloody Murder" from 2011. So clearly, we're on the side of Brown Sound. If he's not on the album, we're not having it. And Screaming Bloody Murder is the last with Steve on drums, which I said at this point he's a drummer. He's not really given a lot to work with, and I think he'd probably agree. Screaming Bloody Murder to me was more interesting than Underclass Hero, I guess, because like you said, they are kind of moving back towards trying to be a little bit more interesting with their songs. It's still pretty generic rock music of the time and pretty dull at times and pretty samey for what they had already done. But it has its moments, and I enjoyed some things about it, but it's another one of the Sum 41 albums that, like, I can't see myself going back to listen to anytime. It's there are go-to Sum 41 albums for me, and this isn't one of them. So let's just quickly jump ahead to your number 7.
Okay, so my number 7 is 13 Voices.
Also my number 7.
Hey, nice. I like how this is working out. So really, 13 Voices. We've got the return of Brown Sound, and the Kirk Hammett influenced metal guitars are back. I like it. They've got a big personality back in the band, and it shows. It kind of reinvigorated them a bit.
And I think it helps that the sound is a little rawer, so it sounds a little more alive in this one.
It does. The production is better. It's shorter. It only clocks in at about 38 minutes, which is ideal. That's an ideal length, especially for this type of stuff. There's something to be said for brevity.
Also, I would like to state here that they have some of the most forgettable album covers from.
Yeah.
I'll even throw Chuck in there. Chuck is not super forgettable, but everything after Chuck, even up to Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell, I guess, because it goes along with the title, is memorable in certain ways. But literally all the albums in between, it's just like, it's just put a little more thought into this. Jeez.
Yeah. To be honest, I get the album covers for 13 Voices and Order and Decline kind of mixed up.
Well, it's the same thing. A lot of those bands of that era, like if you think, I'm trying to think of like Avenged Sevenfold album covers. I think they all are very generic. Not that they're the same kind of band, but they're the same era. And it's like
you could argue that Avenged Sevenfold ripped their mascot from fucking Overkill. I mean, you go back in time and give a fucking Avenged Sevenfold CD to an Overkill fan, and they're gonna be like, this doesn't sound like Overkill.
Yeah, I can't remember what I think it was. Oh, it literally was because I think it's Mr. Bungle that's doing shows with Avenged Sevenfold, and I saw an image where they took like a Mr. Bungle image and that mascot, and I was like, Mr. Bungle's playing with Overkill, and I was like, oh no, this is Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah,
we'll eventually get to doing Avenged Sevenfold.
Dude, I'm excited to cover Avenged Sevenfold. Because
me too. Because I like the band they are now. Like that last album, I very much enjoyed it, and so maybe I'll find things to enjoy early on in their stuff.
And Avenged Sevenfold really were. I remember Avenged Sevenfold are kind of a cultural moment for especially my generation, because all of a sudden Avenged Sevenfold had a song in Call of Duty, and it was like, whoa, in Black Ops 1, one of the Zombies expansions had a hidden Avenged Sevenfold song. So if you're going around killing zombies, if you complete a certain amount of tasks, this song will play, and you'll be killing zombies to an Avenged Sevenfold song, which was always pretty cool. There was always a hidden song in all of the Zombies maps that you and a few friends had to survive. It's just really cool. That was a cool time to be alive, I'll be honest.
I was alive then, but I didn't do any of that stuff.
I
was too busy getting laid.
Hey! he's out here pounding.
Anyway, 13 Voices. I appreciate the energy. And the renewed. I don't know the attitudes there. It just seems the songs are still not super interesting, even though there's a little bit more of an interesting quality to some of them. I think overall songwriting wise, it's still not doing much for me. There's so it's, I don't know, little things that made it higher than the other two.
It's got Brown Sound. It's shorter in length, and it's got the slightly better production. And for me, big step up already, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
We can literally move to number 6 now. Let's see if we match
6.
up here.
Okay, my number 6 is Order and Decline.
Yes, also my number 6, Order and Decline. 2019. Cool. I didn't even, at this point, I had no clue they were even making albums anymore. I was just in my own world.
I gotta be honest, this one completely passed me by. But again, they're following they're following our little. I mean, obviously they weren't. This was pre-podcast, but they're following our little rule of between 35 and 40 is an ideal album length.
Yep.
You don't always need to shoot for the hour. But yeah, coming in at 36 minutes, dude. I mean, what do we got? What do we got here? It's another step in the metal direction again. A zone that they inhabit rather comfortably. You know, whether or not you want to argue that they're a full-blown metal band, they're not. They are a punk band with a pop punk band with a metal edge to them. But since getting Dave back, they've been kicking ass, and bringing the metal back into their sound was a good move because, like I say, it sets them apart. You're not going to hear Kirk Hammett shred guitars in Blink-182. So that's something that Sum 41 has, that Blink doesn't.
I think Tom would be the first to say he could never even play anything like that.
But Blink kick ass doing what Blink do, and Sum 41 kick ass doing what Sum 41 do. Not what Green Day are doing, what My Chemical Romance are doing. Sum 41, be yourselves.
It is interesting that you include My Chemical Romance and pop punk. Because I've always felt that bands like them, they were only partially emo. But they birthed the bands like that were like all the emo scene kids of that era, like point to those bands, and I go, but a lot of it's kind of pop punk. But I guess it makes sense because Blink-182 took a turn into doing stuff that could be, considered emo-ish. Yeah, it's all just a big fucking blur at that point. So,
dude, it's so interesting seeing what happened in the 2000s with this cross-pollination of emo and pop punk, because it's like you get to about 2004 and all of a sudden all of the kids that look like they were equally as likely to listen to Slipknot as Blink, all of a sudden there's this cutoff where it's like everyone is wearing black.
Yeah.
Like just
boom. Which I'm great. I'm great with that.
Yeah, black and red.
But I do think that you're right, because that's also I believe that would be when the bastardization of the term goth started to happen, which I still am look. I'm not a goth by any stretch of the imagination, but I am all about authenticity, and I do think now that we've gotten to 2026, there are a whole lot of people referring to themselves as goth. And I'm just like, what were you, a cheerleader 2 years ago, and now you just bought black eyeliner, and now you're a goth? Like, I'm like, it's just, I know that I'm too old to be worrying about this kind of stuff, but there's a part of me that I immediately go back to high school, and I go, just shut the fuck up and be yourself. We don't need to start labeling everything. Just be who you are. Like, do you want to have goth elements in your wardrobe? Great. But guess what? If you don't pigeonhole yourself, then 3 years from now, when all of a sudden you're married to an accountant and you're wearing a white tennis outfit, you don't have to worry about being a sellout because you never said you were goth.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, all those goth influencers online, check in with them in 5 years. Most of them will not be goth anymore. It'll be goth to boss from the IT crowd. From goth to boss. An ill wind is blowing.
Cradle of filth. Right. Where were we?
We're both on Order in Decline. Number 6, Order in Decline.
Order in Decline. So
not simply put, not a great title because it doesn't roll off my tongue very well. Order in Decline.
Order in Decline. Yeah. It's one of those where it's like, again, it's a step up.
Sure. Good energy.
There's good energy to it. They feel reinvigorated on this one. And it sounds better and performs better than the couple of albums where they kind of didn't have as much identity. It feels like they're reclaiming their identity again with these albums.
Yeah, but there is the issue here because while I do enjoy some of it, because this is the penultimate album, because it's the next to last. That's what that means.
Yeah.
From 2019, I started really like thinking about it and going, you know what? Like at this point, all of these songs, and even all of the songs and the 3 albums around that time, if you just gave them the production of a different album, then they would just be interchangeable with songs on another album, because they had literally kind of just been doing the same kind of thing where I would hear something and go, is this like a redo of an old song? Because I've done that before, but it's not. It's new, but there is a lot of this interchangeable middle of the road stuff that didn't impress me. But once again, I feel like if I had been following them from day one and had been into all of their albums and soaking in every moment of it, and that I'd be able to like point out the differences, and there are differences, but not enough to go, well, this is, I'm glad they're still doing this sound, because there's not enough in there that makes me go, oh, this is, still a sound that we need in this world. I'm like, no, there's been plenty of it. There's a lot.
Yeah.
That being said, Order and Decline did have moments that I liked.
Cool. Well, yeah. Order and Decline. I'm happy to wrap that one up.
I'm going to go on record and say I'm pretty sure that we're going to match up at number 5, and that we might totally unmatch after that.
Okay.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Heaven and Hell.
Also my number 5, Heaven and Hell. Or Heaven X Hell.
X : Hell.
It's like Heaven Butthole Hell or something. Anyway, not to mention that there's a classic album already called Heaven and Hell, but whatever. And they're a band that's supposed to know about metal, but whatever. They just named the album Heaven and Hell. Okay, fine.
Or that they either that or it's an homage.
Oh, it was a homage.
Homage.
Yeah, their final album, double album.
Yep.
I'll say it for you. Way too fucking long.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be this long.
I agree, but here's my stance on this one.
Okay.
Here's my stance. Going out with a double album, kind of a mic drop, not gonna lie. It's like,
yeah.
This is everything we have left. Boom. And the thing I like here is that they kind of consciously split their two distinct styles in half. And the Heaven side of the album is a pop punk album, like their work on All Killer No Filler, while the second disc is a metal album more akin to Chuck.
Okay, I have a problem with that.
Before you
Go
finish,
ahead. Go ahead.
Before you finish what you're gonna say, no, stylistically they are not the same.
There's not much of a difference on either one.
Yeah, but like here's the thing. I will say there is a noticeably lighter, more major key tone to the previous.
There's a few more like poppier songs on the first half. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the second half is more overtly
a little
darker sounding. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say the pop punk side contains their most energetic pop punk offerings since the 2000s.
Yeah.
I think on this album in particular, the pop punkiness is like, oh, they really, really know how to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And it feels authentic.
Yeah,
this
it does. I love the song Landmines, really poppy and memorable and catchy. But I know it's like, for a band that like, because we like so much heavier music here, but on this particular album, that song Dopamine, which is pretty poppy, I'm like, this is really good. Like, this is just a really good song, but it's not,
it is
nothing heavy about it. So it's almost like they reach this point in their career where if they're leaning towards the heavier stuff, I'm usually like, can we get a little more of a catchy chorus or something on this one? Because I'm not, it's fine. I get Weedly, all good, but let's.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from, because ironically, I actually found myself enjoying the first half more than the second.
Yeah.
Being more of a metal guy than a pop punk guy. However, I think it's cool what they've done here, because the first the way they've split it, you could take either half as a single album. You know, they're not expecting you. They're not expecting you to treat this like The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, where it's one giant fucking opus from start to finish.
Yeah.
You know, it's not framed like that. It's framed as, hey, it's two albums in one. Take your pick. You know.
Yeah.
And I think the framing of how they've done it is quite clever, because they're like, do you want us to be a pop punk band or do you want us to be a metalcore band? And I think it's cool to be able to turn around and say, we kick ass doing both of these things.
Sure, yeah.
And you don't have to listen to both. That's why they're on separate discs. And if you actually work it out, it's two EPs almost. If you're looking at it as individual albums. Now I know I'm making a real like lawyer-esque
Are they that
case.
short? Both halves?
The first half is 26 minutes, 29 seconds, and the Hell album clocks in at just about 90 seconds short of half an hour. So really, the way I'm looking at this one,
Comparatively speaking, still pretty short for a lot of bands' albums.
Yeah, and considering like what you would consider a double album today, compared to what was a double album when double albums began, this is actually probably still kind of shorter than double albums then. It just so happens that they're good at doing brief tracks that clock in at 3 minutes and under.
It's definitely not a bad album. I enjoy a lot of this album, but I do think that I get why it's done this way. But if it had been like a 40-minute album where it's just cut down the middle, instead of being like trying to be two full albums, just do like two halves of an album and just pare it down to 40 minutes of the strongest material, I think this would have blown like so much of the expectations out of the water. I think
that's fair.
The fault of the album is there are like at least a third of the songs once again sound like they could have come from any of the previous 4 to 5 albums.
Do I smell a slashed and mashed, my friend?
I don't know if I care enough. I'd be down to do it. You know, if we for some reason get a huge response to people watching this and they want more Sum 41 content, then sure, why not? I'm about pleasing our viewers, but yeah. At the end of the day, I just think that there's. However, I mean, we could literally make probably like 3 to 4 different versions of this album, and they would all be kind of similar. They would just include some similar songs or different songs. So, but I get what I get the idea of like this was the last album, and so far it's been 2 whole years, and there hasn't been like we might play some more shows. There hasn't been any of that. So they may very well be actually done. Time will tell, obviously. But I don't know. I think if this is the way they go out, it's actually a really strong way to go out, and it's I absolutely get it. But yeah, I just once again we were talking earlier about the identity of the band early on. It still doesn't feel like that on Heaven and Hell. It's still because obviously Steve's not there. I mean, shit, he didn't even get invited. They got like inducted into like Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or some shit like that, and they didn't even invite Steve. So clearly, there's some sort of bad blood. From reading the book, even though it is Derek's book, and he does write it from the perspective of, how he was experiencing things. Even the way he writes about this stuff, I go, "Oh, this guy was kind of shitty, and probably kind of exhausting." And you get it in the writing. Even when he's talking about other people in the band doing something wrong, he's still telling on himself a little bit, right? Just kind of go,
kind of a self-report.
I get it. You seem like you may have been a little insufferable at times. And he'd probably agree. I don't know, but
Dude, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you watched their War Child Canada documentary? The one where they get dude.
You're talking about the one from when they're in the Congo.
Yeah, and they get pinned down at that fucking hotel, and there's a war going on.
I have seen some of that. We'll obviously get to that because that's before Chuck, but yeah.
I was not expecting a full half hour of that to just be them being shot at, dude. It's fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah,
like
that's in his book as well.
Yeah, I was watching that, and even though I knew they got out okay, I was still there, like,
oh yeah.
Man, I hope they're okay.
Yeah, you have to put yourself in the mindset of like, for those of you who don't know, the band went over to the Congo for some sort of, they were being part of some kind of documentary. I don't remember exactly what it was supposed to be for, but there was a fucking war going on there, and it turns out that a battle started literally where they were, in whatever building they were in, and it's interesting to read about it because if you put this is a situation that most of us will never have to be in our entire life. Yeah. And imagine how you would feel. All of a sudden you're just trapped in a building. You're supposed to be taking cover and there's literally people shooting everywhere, possibly could be shooting into the building. It's like, it's just fucking frightening. But
yeah, it really is. Like, you just see them. I mean, they're filming the entire time, and there's just the cracks of gunfire and the occasional explosion from a RPG. Yeah. I mean, it's nuts.
I mean, they literally had to get them out of there by they had to literally run across a tarmac to a plane or some shit like that. To a bus. What
they did was they ran to, I'm pretty sure they ran to like an APC, armored personnel carrier or something.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then they were taken back to the encampment, and then they were taken out of that. But there is a brief moment where I'm pretty sure the band is carted into a fucking BTR looking thing, and they're just it's crazy, situation.
Crazy. But anyway, that's by this point, by Heaven and Hell, that was years past.
Oh yeah.
And
20 years ago.
20 years, yeah. But yeah, anyway, Heaven and Hell are joint number 5. Anything else to say about this one?
I thought it was cool. It works as 2 different flavors of what the band offers. Mm-hmm. If you want pop punk, which is basically, looking at the writing credits, it looks as though the Heaven side is Derek Whibley had a bunch of songs that he wrote that were really good and he wanted to hang on to, that initially he had written for other artists, but he decided, fuck, these are really good, I'm keeping these, and they use that as the Heaven side. The writing on Disc 2 looks a lot more collaborative, but again, like I say, if you want pop punk, go for Heaven side. If you want quote unquote metal Sum 41, go for the Hell side.
But also, don't expect them to be vastly different from each other.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they didn't lean far enough into the pop punk side on one side, and they didn't lean far enough into the metal on the other side. So it's really just kind of like swimming, and it's kind of like you're in a swimming pool and you're at that point where it goes from 5 feet to 5.5 feet. And you're like, oh my God, I'm in 2 different depths right now. Yeah. That's kind of what it's like. It's like,
if you really want whiplash, listen to All Killer No Filler and then listen to Chuck.
Yeah. So anyway, I feel like at this point we may be on different paths. But let's find out. What's your number 4 Sum 41 album?
That's okay. My number 4 Sum 41 album is Half Hour of Power.
Okay. Yeah, we are not together on this one.
That's okay. I've got, if I can muster the strength to talk, because I just swallowed with the wrong freaking hole.
Why did they put our breathing and swallowing holes in the same thing? Like you would think that like all of the ways that we evolved, and that's still a thing. That seems wrong.
It's the same cruel joke as putting the poo parts next to the sex parts, my friend.
I wish that we had millions of years more to evolve, but we're all going to be dead. Well, no, we won't. We're going to die normally, but I think the human race is going to die off in a few hundred years. So
I'm going to do like a 90-minute video essay called "The Human Body is Outdated."
The human body, holes in the wrong places.
Hey, that's a good
looking
that's a good
for
title,
holes
actually.
in all the wrong places. Anyway, all right, half hour of power. There you go.
It's just 90 minutes of me being shot.
In slow motion.
Yeah.
Like a fucking Sam Peckinpah movie.
Oh, man. Right. Yeah. Number 4, half hour power.
Yes.
This is a real, kill 'em all situation as far as I see it, although more fully formed than I would say kill 'em all. It's the sound of a hungry young band kicking ass and having fun doing it. They're laying the foundations of everything they do early on. There are parts that are perfect for a Tony Hawk game. There's parts that demonstrate a love for the classic metal they grew up on. Mm-hmm. There's parts with rapping. They're a fun, diverse band, especially in this era. Mm-hmm. And I'm here for it. You know, I was really pleasantly surprised when I listened to this to see just how much identity they already had. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many bands that start, even some of our favorite bands that start, and the first album, it's like, not quite there yet. But this is one of those situations where it's like, oh, these guys knew who they fucking were. That band, you know?
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's really cool. It for the most part stays in the pop punk, skate punk kind of vibe, but they do bring, their seasoning, so to speak.
That's another thing. I'm glad you brought up that term. That's another thing that they abandoned after about album number 3 is skate punk, which is a very important element for me because that's the kind of punk that I was really into in the 90s. And the skate punk elements mixed with the pop punk and the metal and everything else, that's the stew that made them so fucking great for a few albums there. But then all of a sudden those aspects started to, fade away. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. There's even
for those of you who want, I'm sorry to interrupt you. For those of you if you want to if you don't know the difference, like to me, skate punk is punk rock that has a little more riffy, but most importantly, it utilizes the D beat a lot. Which like that's like pop punk bands don't do that. That's why I would even throw Blink-182 in the skate punk side of things because there's a lot of that D beat going on in there. Anyway,
it's cool. They've got some delightfully metal parodying titles such as "Grab the Devil by the Horns" and "Fuck 'Em Up the Ass."
Yep.
The moment I did this entirely chronologically, and for that to be the first title, I was like, oh, hell yeah. I already fell in love with this band from that title alone. Even when I was at my peak of pop punk disdain, so to speak, I always had a respect for Still Waiting. Like, whenever that would come on, I would, like, begrudgingly go, fine, turn it up.
I guess this'll do.
Yeah. This and I thought, oh fuck, I'm being drawn in. No. Yeah. But eventually, I learned don't have fucking rules, you dick. So yeah. So like I say, it's a half hour of power. It does what it says on the tin. Yeah.
Cool.
And I really, really liked it, but I liked where they went from here.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Understood.
So, back to you.
My number 4 is Chuck from 2004. their fourth album. I feel like, hearing this album after really learning about all the shit they went through when they were in the Congo, it makes a little bit of sense. The name of the album is even like the name of a guy that was there that was like helping them out.
That was the peacekeeper that led them out of that situation.
So, yeah. And so I understand the darker tone here. Unfortunately for me, like the word metal gets thrown around for this album, but it's not metal enough. It's even the metal-ish elements are a little bit too watered down now at this point. And sometimes I feel like the seriousness on this album sounds kind of overcompensatingly serious. And here's the thing. I said I was going to point out some instances where I can't let Derek get away with just blindly ripping people, not blindly, blatantly ripping people off. I'm going to sing two lines from two different bands for you. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
This is from the song "No Reason" by Sum 41. How can we fake this anymore? And then here's Linkin Park. I cannot take this anymore.
I noticed that. I noticed that as well. I did notice that.
Not the only time he does that shit. Here's where it gets even worse, though. If you didn't notice it, go back and listen to the song "We're All to Blame" again. It is a blatant System of a Down, not only a System of a Down ripoff, it's ripping off fucking the Chop Suey. Like, it's literally him deciding, I like this Chop Suey song. I'm literally going to write a song where I'm ripping off the style, it's embarrassingly like, I just wanted to write a Chop Suey. And it's, oh my God, it really gets under my skin every time I hear it. This is my number 4 album. There are things on this album that I think are really good, but the problem with Chuck, like, honestly, if I'm being honest, between Chuck and my top 3 albums, you could just fit the Grand fucking Canyon in there for me, because I love the first 3 albums. And then with Chuck, the highs are high, but the lows are just like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, why? There's way less of a variety of songs now. And I understand it as a songwriter, especially when the bulk of it is put on the shoulders of Derek to write the songs. And if that's not how he's feeling, these are the songs that are coming. I totally understand that. But this to me is one of the biggest like fall offs of a band ever. Like, going from an album that I think is really fucking good to just like, holy shit, what happened here? And you'd think it would be the opposite for me, because I like a lot of metal and a lot of heavier stuff. So in theory, I should really like this, but it's...
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
Oh, I'm sorry you didn't understand that. Maybe I should explain myself even further from my fucking talking watch. Anyway, I feel like at this point they lose a lot of their identity as a band. Luckily, like, which is the video? It's either the video for No Reason or Still Waiting, where it looks like an old school television performance.
I'm pretty sure they were parodying one of the bands at the time.
The Strokes.
The Strokes, yeah.
So there's that saves it a little bit for me, because there's still a little bit of that. Oh, this band is still fun. But I really think that at this point, the band is now entering this level where they've got the stardom and the success and the money now, and now it's like, well, now what do we do? And so, I can't, because I don't know him and I don't know what was in his brain. I can't say that he 100% was just ripping other people off, but sometimes it's a little too close. And I know that there was a lot of stress. And so if you can take some inspiration from stuff, that's fine. But, if you're literally lifting a line from another song and just changing, like literally the same exact fucking notes are sung in that song and the Linkin Park song.
I did spot the One Step Closer link.
And so, yeah, it just, the songwriting just takes a huge dip. The band as a whole takes a huge dip. For what it is, it's really well done. Like a lot of their contemporaries never did an album as good as Chuck. I'll give them that. But I'm being like, critical about this one because the other 3 albums prior to this have so much about them that I just go, this is so great in so many different ways. And so it's good. Chuck's good. If you're not into the pop punk thing at all, maybe Chuck might be the way to get into Sum 41. But just, take your shot. And,
it's a good gateway for the metalheads, but
good,
yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't really do much for me, aside from a few bright moments here and there that are kind of cool. And some of the little metallic moments are cool as well, but they're just, I think I miss the variety of songs. It seems very similar here. Anyway, so that's my number 4.
I will say in Chuck's defense, because I'm not there yet, but one thing I will say is I think that the variety on this album, there is variety there, but it takes a different form, and it goes from variety within songs to varieties of songs, and you end up with the heaviest stuff they've ever done on this one, and you also end up with some of the softest songs they've ever done on this one, which makes for quite a nice push and pull. I'm not getting there quite yet.
Okay.
I'm on number 3 now, right?
Number 3.
Yeah. My number 3 is All Killer No Filler.
All right.
This album is just a fun pop punk blast of a good time. Very singable songs, hooks galore. It's the last gasps of the pre 9/11 fun era before everything got a bit more serious.
I think that's another reason why a lot of it's bittersweet for me, because I'm all like,
yeah, this is the very end. This predates it by 3 months.
And I know a lot of you out there that maybe don't know are like, well, Old Head gets broken up about 9/11. I'm like, yeah, well, the actual tragedy was sad, but it's the fucking hellscape that our country started to become after that. We've just gradually become shittier and shittier. And with just little, sometimes you'll get a little beacon of hope, and you'll go, "Oh, is shit going to start getting better again, like in the '90s?" And then the rug gets pulled out from under you, and you're like, "No."
We should have listened to the '90s more.
You should have.
Just stay here. We'll be fine. Yeah.
I blame the internet.
Yeah.
Welcome to our internet show, ladies and gentlemen. Carrington Wright.
Yeah. Turn this shit off.
Yeah.
Fuck.
The world was so much better before, like, some dumbasses could just get on microphones and just rank shit. Like anybody cares. Anyway, all right.
It's so fun. My you know how that like white guy with a podcast trope has become like a real thing,
yes.
Right? Is it my my partner, my fiance? She's always very clear with people that I do a music podcast, not one of these fucking hustle bro self help.
Well,
if you're not working 26 hours a day,
now that you mention
need to
it,
fucking die.
Now that you mention it, we're going to take a turn here. We're going to start covering things in a different way. And it's like, hey, man, if you don't like Chuck, then you're not an alpha male. And nobody likes a cuck, because, like, men are supposed to be the breadwinners and women are supposed to be in the kitchen. They're not supposed to
If you've only got 2 balls, die. I've got 3.
Oh, man. Anyway, no, that will never be us. I'm sorry.
Sold 1, watched it appreciate in value, bought 2, stuck them in there, 3 balls.
It would be more...
Alpha as fuck!
Our fucking podcast would be more like, you know what I'm going to do when I get done with this podcast? I'm going to go do the dishes.
Yeah.
Which is not wrong. That's probably what I'm going to do right after this podcast.
Yeah.
And the laundry.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to vacuum so my fiance doesn't have to.
Yeah. Wait, yeah. Why wouldn't it be a wonderful world if like that's the real machismo came from people like that?
When my wife's cold, I give her my jacket. Fuck!
Sometimes she wants to talk about her feelings, and I just listen.
You know what we should do? We haven't got enough time to prepare for it now, but you know what we should do? We should start like a side podcast. We only ever do one, but we upload it on April Fool's Day.
Oh,
And we start this like alpha podcast, but it's just an hour of us being wholesome but jacked the fuck up about it. So
yeah.
I put thought into the card I sent my friend. He loved it.
You know what? I'm going to be the first to say it, and I don't care what anybody thinks. Earl Grey tea is delicious.
Fuck yeah, it is. This is sponsored by Earl Grey tea. I'm being a responsible member of the community.
Spay and neuter your fucking pets, assholes. Anyway, where
tip your waitress? She deserves it. You know. It's like alpha.
What's all killer no filler? That's where you were. Woo.
Yes, yeah, all killer no filler. Anything I've previously slagged pop punk off for, I take back. This is a blast. It's not the band's fault that Kerrang and Scuzz decided to oversaturate, throw variety out of the window, and become a 24/7 new metal and pop punk live stream.
Yeah.
It's not the band's fault. They write killer shit. Excuse me. Hell yeah. Sorry, I was fighting my way through a burp that entire time. That was guttural.
Okay. I'm just glad you finally got it out.
Yeah, it was will I, won't I?
Yeah.
And that one, it escaped. I'm sorry, guys.
You're welcome to the podcast listeners.
your face when I let that thing out. Yeah, that one, it escaped. Sometimes they do. Bada boom, bada bing. All killer, no filler. Pretty damn good.
Nice. My number 3, Does This Look Infected, from 2002, their third album. I really like this album a lot, but I'm going to start this off with another nitpick, and by singing a line from a song and then singing a line from another song. Are you ready for this? Mm-hmm. This is from the Hell Song by Sum 41. Everybody's got their problems. Everybody says the same thing to you.
I also picked up on that.
Here's Nickelback. Never
Yep.
made it as a wise man. Couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. All right.
This bold choice.
That
opening
fucking song was everywhere on the
that song.
radio.
Yeah.
He knew that he just literally lifted the fucking thing and changed the fucking words. That being said, Hell Song is a really good song. But those kind of things really stick in my craw where it's like, is nobody else in the making of this album going to be like, you know that song that's played like every 5 minutes on the radio? I think it might sound like that. Anyway.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they were trying to preempt the Iron Maiden chord progression because they noticed, if it worked for chords in the past, maybe vocal melodies will go the same way.
I don't know. It's unforgivable.
I don't know. It is unforgivable.
But that being said, the rest of the album makes up for it. There's a little bit of a turn to more serious songwriting on this, but I think that it works because there's a variety of things on this album, just like in the two that come out before this. A little less poppy, a little more skate punky at times, which I like. There is like, you can feel there's a further progression of what they're doing while still kind of maintaining this unique vibe of what made Sum 41 enjoyable. Now they even on these albums that I like, they still fall into the traps that so many punk bands around that time fell into, which is there's only so many riffs and you start literally using the same chord progression that 50 other bands have already done. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to ignore that. So if you're a person like me that nitpicks about things, leave that at the door, because if you're listening for that, you're going to hear riffs that are absolutely recycled, but they end up getting turned into really cool songs. And so at that point, I don't really care that much, but I have to point it out because I point things like that out all the time. That being said, quite possibly my favorite Sum 41 song ever is No Brains. No Brains is fantastic. Also Mr. Amsterdam, also a really great song. Yeah, overall a pretty strong album. There's a couple sort of uneventful tracks on here, but to me, this is kind of like the end of like the Sum 41 that I want. They're not the only band like this. There's a handful of bands that I could bring up where they do 1, 2, or 3 albums, and I go, I love what the fuck they're doing here, and then they completely move away from it, and other people follow them and stay fans, and more power to you. There's plenty of other music for me to listen to. That's why I don't complain about these bands. But in the case, if we rank them, I will point them out. But at this point, this really is like, the last of them doing something that I go, you know what? I want to go back and listen to this album a lot because it's fun, and the songs are enjoyable, and the performances are good, and the variety is good. But it still feels like an actual Sum 41 album when they were a band of 4 people and not a guy that wrote songs that had guys that played with him sometimes. So that's my number 3. Does this look infected?
Cool. Okay. Does this look infected? Very nice. But I don't know why I said that.
That's that song. The title track. Does this look infected? That's how it goes. It goes. Does this look infected?
Very nice.
B-side.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Number 2.
It's a rare bootleg pressing, mate. So my number 2 is Does This Look Infected?
Oh, hey, all right, cool.
Hold on. Let me do it properly. Does this look infected? There we go. That's better.
I don't know what my dogs are doing. You go ahead. I'm gonna.
He's like, yeah, it looks infected. Get help, man. Okay, so this one. They're up in the ante with the metal influences. There's much thrashier riffs, breakdowns, even occasional scream vocals. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect middle ground gateway album for punks to get into metal, and vice versa. There's even double bass drumming on this one. Mm-hmm. This is the first, as far as I'm aware, to include that, and it's still really fun while showcasing a maturity from their previous release, Mm-hmm. It's they haven't fully gone off the metal deep end, quote-unquote metal deep end, with Chuck yet, but there's still parts where you're like, fuck, this is heavy for a pop-punk band. Mm-hmm. And it's this era in particular that I think really cemented them as not your average pop punk unit, you know? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh shit, okay, all right, I don't want any trouble. Simply put, Does This Look Infected kicks ass. It's got one of my favorites on it with Still Waiting. Still Waiting is that was one of those songs that made me not completely give up on pop punk when I was at my simply put, when I was at my worst. On account of some unfortunate factors in my life at the time. But simply put, I mean, does this look infected? Hell yeah, it does, and I fucking love it.
I don't even want any ointment.
Yeah.
My number 2 is All Killer No Filler from 2001. Nice. At this point, I would consider this album a classic of pop punkish music.
Oh yeah,
and it's I guess a bit more polished than their first album, but it still retains a lot of what makes their first album so much fun, and also leans a little bit more into the kind of stuff that they would be doing. But the thing about like these first two albums is they go in so many really enjoyable places, and the songs are all like really enjoyable and memorable. And this one obviously has like two of their biggest, Fat Lip and In Too Deep. In Too Deep is just like an amazing pop song. It's just like, you know, if you just turn the guitars a little bit down and, you know, maybe made Derek's voice a little smoother, it'd just be a fucking power pop song, you know? And they also, on these first three albums, for somebody like me, and they still continued to do this here and there on later albums, but they were a band that seemed to always really add these little moments that your average music listener they just might like pass over. You don't even really notice because you're paying attention to the verse and the chorus. But whether those moments are like metal related or, you know, skate punk or whatever it might be, they're just little. There always seems to be little things in some of the songs that I go, that was great. But I know that I'm just one of those weirdos that overly analyzes shit that I'm listening to. And so I know it's not the hook of the song or what's memorable about the song to most people. But I just catch these little things and I really appreciate it. And I think that's another reason why like they stand out from a lot of their contemporaries from around this time, because a lot of those bands, it was just meat and potatoes. What you see is what you get, and you're not getting any kind of little surprises or anything unique, really. But even then, you know, I got to point out, like there's still some rehashed punk elements in some of their stuff. But like I said before, they managed to write these songs where, and I've said this, I think I even said this on like a recent episode where I was like, if you take a riff that's kind of already been done by somebody, but you create a song that I enjoy to where it doesn't matter, then it's great, because there's only so many things that you can do when you're making rock music. Even nowadays with fucking being progressive or whatever, like now people are just rehashing the same progressive things now. All Killer No Filler is an album that, like you said it's from an era where we were going into the 2000s, and at that point in my life, if you had come to me and said, where do you see not just the country but the world going in 20 years, I'd be like, in 20 years, I'm all like, I don't know, racism probably won't be a thing anymore. Homophobia definitely won't be a thing anymore, because we're already like way past all of that shit. In early 2001, I still felt that way in my 20s. I still like, man, we're making progress. We're becoming better people overall. Yeah. And boy, was I wrong.
It's almost like, man, September in 91 brought an incredible change with Nevermind. Do you think that 9/11 is the Nevermind of the 2000s?
It's the anti-Nevermind.
Yeah, it's the anti-Nevermind. Yeah,
I don't know. All I know is we have not recovered. So there's that added thing that some people will listen to All Killer No Filler and not get that vibe at all, but I appreciate putting that on and being like, oh man, okay, so at this point, shit was
we have yet to get there.
Shit was still looking like we were on forward, upward momentum.
Yeah.
Even if like I felt like a lot of the music was getting rehashed at that point, there was still an element of fun and people making music because they love music, and music being treated like it was important and not just some throwaway thing that you just use as entertainment, and the people that make the music should just shut up and play their music. Anyway, All Killer No Filler. Really fun album. Not my number one though. So let's get to your number one.
Well, hold on. Sticking to 2001, I just wanted to mention as well, I've recently played through GTA 3 again and like played through the story mode. And 2001 has been on my mind a lot recently. And a thing I find fascinating about that time related to that game is how game changing quite literally that game was to not only its own franchise but to the entire landscape. I mean, everybody's waiting on bated breath for GTA 6. GTA 3.
Wait, did they announce a release date for that?
It's supposed to be late this year. I think it's November something this year. And let me GTA 6.
At this point, we got to do like a whole special about it.
Dude, I am so excited to bring my thoughts to it, but like at the time, I'm probably gonna need like a solid week just to be able to immerse myself in it, and like regardless of what's happening in my life, I'm immersed. 19th of November, 2026 is when
there's
it's
an
supposed to
actual
come out.
day, the 19th of November. Okay.
So I have to survive to that date and for at least a week to the episode. So, sorry guys, I'm not joining the 27 Club. Anyway, coming back around...
What does that mean, 27 Club?
You don't know about the 27 Club? That's all of the famous people that died at 27.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I didn't know that's where you were going with that. I thought it was a GTA reference. Okay. All right.
It's all good, guys. I'm not dead. Touch wood.
Okay.
Right, so... Can you imagine if this aged horribly?
Oh, yeah.
Touching wood again. Okay, so... yeah. I've had GTA 3... That whole... late 90s, early 2000s vibe on my mind a lot recently. I've recently started watching The Sopranos as well because that was a huge influence on GTA 3 and later Liberty City Stories. I digress. I'm getting too deep into the lore right now.
You're in too deep.
Hey! Tying it back. But like I say, a huge thing that is interesting about GTA 3 is how much 9/11 changed it in the month before it came out. And like it was set for like an October release or something, right? And if you don't know, Liberty City is a parody in the GTA universe of New York City. And I think even early on in development there was supposed to be a parody of the Twin Towers. School buses were going to be a vehicle. I think the livery of the police cars was supposed to be blue instead of black, which they ended up being. But you can still see those in the game's opening credits and stuff like that. But if you look up the sheer amount of stuff that they had to like alter or change last minute from that game because of that event, it's kind of it's an interesting little deep dive because it's like, oh shit, yeah. This guy's mission would be considered a terrorist attack beyond this point, so it's like, ooh,
Also,
better cut that one out.
Also, it's interesting the number of in pop culture, the number of instances of people utilizing the Twin Towers right around the time that happened, because you had like Spider-Man,
Limp Bizkit. Yeah.
Do you think
Right
Do you
before.
think that's what that's why the terrorists got so mad? Like they linked Limp Bizkit and they're like, get rid of those guys. I don't even like Nookie.
They were just like, man, if only we could get some of the other skyscrapers to get a little bit of the same airtime.
Yeah.
It's
not
as
fair.
it turns. Yeah,
Is it too soon?
Just turns out to be like like an inside job, but not by anybody that expects. It's just the Chrysler Building plotting shit. I'm jealous of the Empire State, and now I got, I don't know. We're joking about some near the knuckle stuff.
Yeah, but at this point, I feel like I've been informed by my kid that people their age, just like this would be the Gen Zers. Are you considered a Gen Zer?
I'm the very beginning of Gen Z. When was your kid born?
He was born 2011.
2011. So that's the very end of Gen Z. So we're same generation, opposite end.
ends. And so he'll tell me that there's a lot of like dark humor surrounding 9/11 for younger people, and I get it because they weren't around, and it's like, you know, it's sometimes I'll hear some jokes and I'll go, I kind of get what's funny about it. It's like, you know, it's like being subversive about something tragic, and I have no problem with it. I just, you know, I'm not one of those people that polices humor, especially if it's not really intended to be hurtful to anybody. If it's just literally just some sort of dark humor, I understand dark humor.
There's a line, you know, the way, you know, I would say.
Here we are on this fucking alpha male shit again.
I'd say my generation is really split down the middle, and I'm one of the few in somewhere in the middle where I can objectively say, hey, I'm joking about this fucked up thing as a coping mechanism, because if I had to acknowledge it, it would bum me out. So very often when I'm coming from something as, you know, quote unquote offensive humor, I'm not coming at it from a stance of, this fucked up thing happens and I'm going to remind you and I'm going to upset you because I'm a shitbag. It's, man, if I had to stop and think about all the pain in the world, I would collapse under the weight of it.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, you know, if the human race can't find a laugh in the face of sadness, the entire world may as well fall on their own sword, because it's all around us. You know, I've had, I've lost people in the last 10 years where, would I like them to still be here? Absolutely. If someone makes a well-timed joke, I'm gonna laugh, because what choice do I have? Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where ultimately you smile and you laugh, because what choice do you have? And that's that exactly. I managed to hold it together. Yeah. That was a really well timed one as well. Dude, dude, and that right there is exactly what I'm talking about.
If we let's say in a world where like we were like super popular, like let's say that like we had like millions of followers, I would devote so much time to extending jokes for people just to put more content out there. I would literally start taking serious situations, like, you know, a news bulletin about, you know, a school shooting, and it would just be like, it would just be like all the most inappropriate times that I could think to insert that clip. We would have hundreds of videos of that.
Dude,
so if you want to see content like that, tell your friends and tell them to tell their friends and their moms and their dads and their cousins and everybody listen to Cranked and Ranked and get us to 1 million views so we can quit our jobs and this can be our livelihood. But
dude, can you imagine we just get like a full-blown 24/7 live stream job where this is just it and it's just us doing shits and giggles? That would be so sick.
I think that would get old real quick.
I don't know.
I know us well enough to know that if we became that fucking famous, we would do. I don't know. I know you have to have seen about it. Fucking Markiplier, put out his own fucking movie, and it did really well. And he didn't have to use a studio or any we 100% would have made a movie of some sort and things like that. We wouldn't have been doing shit like, well, now we're going to just do cranked and ranked for 24 hours a day. We would just come up with ridiculous things that we're going to do. You know, we're going to have a cooking show now.
Here's my idea. Here's my idea for a trilogy. We do a Cornetto trilogy, but we do the Cornetto trilogy with 3 decades we want to parody, right?
Okay, yeah.
So we do a 70s movie, we do an 80s movie, or we do a 90s movie, or we do an 80s, 90s, 2000s. What do you reckon? Because I think there's a lot with the 2000s you could really take the piss out of.
I don't think we should fuck with the 70s. Neither one of us have that much stake in the game for that.
Yeah.
I will say, though, if I was a millionaire, I would be investing my money heavily into making the sequel to Last Action Hero that I have already written. I have the entire fucking movie mapped out. It's in some other episode. You can go listen to my full pitch. I don't know where it is. That's going to be the fun of you finding it if you haven't seen it. But I literally have the entire movie already ready to go. I just need Arnold to meet with me, and I need a very good script writer to put the script together, and we need funding, and that's it. It's going to be fucking amazing. That's the thing. It's going to be, if it came out, it would be fucking amazing. But nobody gives a shit about me.
I would love for him to have like a drunk scene in the movie where he's singing along to that Pearl Jam bootleg. but he's so drunk and doesn't know what's happening that he nails it like syllable for syllable. Look,
we have to remember that if we do get Arnold on board, I don't want to push him too much and be like, thanks for doing this movie. Now, can you make these noises? Instead of I'll be back, I'll be black. Can you, instead of saying I'll be back, can you say Belvedere ball sitter or something? Quit being a bunch of syrupy penises. Anyway,
Christmas dog.
Cranked and ranked is like coming. That's how much I like cranked and ranked.
Put the headphones on. It's
like you're just coming all the time when you listen to cranked and ranked.
I'm in too deep and I'm trying to keep.
Have you been talking about your number one? I don't
More like Cam 41.
I wish I had a sound effect for applause. That would get applause. Right?
Have you still got the Paul Stanley?
I think this is it.
Every once in a while, we like to get a little wasted. We like to take a taste of alcohol.
That's enough.
That's enough of a dub.
All right, cool.
Nice.
Where do we? Have you started talking about your number one, or did we? Oh no, you haven't yet, because we were talking about GTA.
GTA 3, 9/11, Arnold coming.
Hopefully, you'll be coming to the end of the show because you've been going on forever.
Come on, do it.
Get to the chopper and number one album.
My number one, Psalm 41 album is Chuck.
Get to the chopper. That was not even funny. It's
okay. It's okay.
Stupid.
It's okay. Sometimes a bit comes to a natural end.
That was it. That was the bit limping its way out of the door.
Limp biz bit, and we're back. Hey.
Right. Chuck.
Okay. Chuck. Some 41 album from 2004.
Here's where he just reads the wiki.
yeah. Well, I've got it up, and I've literally.
He's got it up, folks. Everybody would get out of the way.
I do have it up. So Chuck released October 12th, 2004, which means it was out a full 2 weeks before GTA San Andreas. Anyway, bada boom, bada bing. Where are we? here we are, Chuck, leaning into the heaviness of the previous record even further, pretty much going as full metal as possible with their sound, with the punk side almost taking a back seat. They had nods to their love for metal that became more apparent with every ensuing release, even having an alter ego band called Pain for Pleasure, where members would adorn wigs, outfits, swap instruments, and shit like that. Good fun. But this is a different kettle of fish. They ain't fucking around on this one. And the bitter end is pure Metallica worship. That song in particular stands out to me as, if you were going to make a case for Sum 41 being a metal band, that would be the track, because holy shit, they could do it if they wanted to, but they were also really good at the pop punk thing. There is a part of me, though, that wonders if Metallica heard the bitter end and Sum 41's take on that kind of sound, which, let's be honest, there is a lot of Metallica worship in the heavier stuff they'd done, you know, at this point in their career, especially with the bitter end. And I wonder if that post-chorus kind of thing influenced some of the guitar playing on Death Magnetic, because at this point, Metallica had never done that. Metallica had never done that muted fifth octave power chord sort of thing, where it's just the octaves. There's a lot of that on Death Magnetic, and I wonder if one of them in the band heard this and thought, that sounds cool. Well, obviously, because
the number of bands that also already did that before Sum 41, it could be anybody.
Yeah, it could, but like, you know, this is right after Saint Anger, you know, by about a year, and you know, in the lead up, there's a lot of that in a lot of bands in the 2000s. That whole muted fifth octave sort of thing. My Chemical Romance does it. I think a hard to swallow pill for a lot of thrashers would be that emo-ish pop punk at times might have had an influence on some of the guitar playing on Death Magnetic, because I gotta be honest, there's a lot of octave stuff on that album that I don't think I've heard on any other Metallica album. And
you're not wrong. I really think that if there is, there's not a lot of it prior to that.
Yeah, because I don't think there's any on Hardwired, and there's none on 72 Seasons.
Interesting.
But I really do think that these sorts of moments on albums from this era, it feels weird that this really jumped out at me as like, oh, that's Death Magnetic era Metallica. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, that didn't happen for another 4 years. What's going on here? And I just thought that was an interesting point. But above all else, Chuck, to me, as an album itself, is kind of like a journey coming to its logical conclusion. You've got a skate punk, pop punk band that likes metal enough to include homages to it in their sound. Then you've got an album that blends the two worlds together. Then you've got an album where they go as far into that as possible within their songwriting know-how. And then after that, the lead guitarist goes and they go back to, well, they try to be Green Day. But I think Chuck, for me, is that logical conclusion point where it's like, oh man, these guys really are firing on all cylinders. And considering the climate of the time as well, with each ensuing album, I just went, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Wow. Cool. I liked it all. I liked that evolution where they got heavier and heavier. Obviously, I'm coming at it as a metal guy getting into punk, as opposed to you growing up with both kind of going on at varying levels of dominance. But yeah, I think for me at this present time, my top two are Does This Look Infected and Chuck. They could change on any given day. I think Does This Look Infected is more variety. It has more variety, I agree.
Yeah.
In terms of like what the members are bringing to the forefront and whatnot. But I think Chuck is just a kick-ass moment where a band goes, oh, fuck, we really can do the heavy shit. And then they do an album of heavy shit, you know? So with that, that's my number one, Chuck.
Nice. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with all of that. The progression that they made, that kind of, it reached a natural point with Chuck. For me, my number one is Half Hour of Power from 2000. So I didn't hear this when this came out. I didn't know who this band was. I didn't hear them until Fat Lip came out. But once I heard this, so there are a lot of things about this album that is similar to a lot of the music I was totally in love with around like 96, 97. So this was just a few years too late. But if this had come out when I was a little younger, I would have been obsessed with this band, because it is, there's no other album like this album, even that they did.
Yeah.
Like literally, like this album has everything. Like, and I know like that they at this point, like they include, you know, a lot of the things that they were throwing into their shows, but the fact that it's just this incredibly infectious, enjoyable energy for 26 minutes, and starting it off immediately with metal, like they're a pop punk band and they start their first album off with metal. And then it gets into like, you know, more of a skate punk kind of thing, which I really like. But all the songs are catchy. There's a great variety. If I had to point out one flaw, it's like I've been saying about how a lot of punk bands recycle a lot of similar riffs and elements of those songs of the time, which I can't really throw them under the bus for, because other people were doing it too. It was just a thing. But the fact that they have this 26-minute package with some incredibly catchy songs. There's a fucking song with a drum solo in it. There's a song that has a ska part with a horn section. There's a hip hop track. There's the metal tracks. It literally takes you on this fucking 26-minute journey that's an absolute blast, and it really stands out from any other pop punk happening at the time. And honestly, I would say that this is just an absolute perfect 26 minutes of music, because it's really like this is the kind of album that you hear it once and it's your favorite band. I just feel like it's that good. If your brain is wired to hear this and it clicks all of these I don't know, ticks all the boxes for these particular things. It's just, I'm still just kind of annoyed that they didn't. I don't think that they should have kept doing things like this. I think I would have been more into the band if, as the years went by, they started, incorporating completely different elements. Like, we're now at album number 5. This one has a fucking dance song on it, or whatever. Because the idea of them putting together this package that's just feels like and I'm assuming it probably was a 26-minute performance. Like the band gets on the stage and just blows you away for 26 minutes and gives you everything you need. And it sounds good. It's raw, but it's supposed to sound. It sounds the way it's supposed to sound. The production sounds how it's supposed to sound for this music. It's just like, it's the best thing that this band did, in my opinion. And it's just every single time, it is so much fun. Every single time I listen to this, And it makes me a little bit, because, in the year 2000, like I was still, I was, trying to make it as a musician in bands. And this is the kind of thing that I would hear and be like, oh my God, I might as well just fucking quit. What's the fucking point? Because it's just so much fun and so well done. And once again, I guess, part of this stuff, you a lot of this music, like especially like punk music, it usually not translates. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It usually materializes authentically and more enjoyably when it's done by young people. And so I think you grow older, and that's why a lot of these bands, even bands that I really like that are still doing quote unquote punk music, there's something missing from it. And it's that sort of young, I don't give a fuck, energy. And that's literally what Half Hour of Power is. Not even a half hour long, also. But it's just like, it's so good. I can't even, if you haven't heard it before, people out there, I would just recommend it. It doesn't take much of your time, but it's I'm still pretty impressed with it. So that ends up being my number one, Half Hour of Power. First fucking thing they ever did ends up being. That's a very gatekeeper kind of thing. I just like the first one, but it's true. It's the thing that I think they nailed right out of the gate.
Happens sometimes.
Yeah. We did it.
We did do it.
Did it.
We have accomplished it.
And that's going to play at the end credits of Last Action Hero 2.
Oh, dude.
That song is going to be playing at the end of it. Which makes sense, because the way I'm going to end the movie, I'm not going to go into it because at this point I don't want to give away my idea. But the movie wrapping up with "just when you thought it was over," it would be absolutely fucking perfect. But maybe one day, maybe someday I'll get hooked up with Arnold Schwarzenegger's people, and they can hear my pitch, because it's ridiculous that this movie is not being made right now. Anyway.
Cool.
So yeah, that's Sum 41. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed all the tangents, because that was quite a bit on this episode. And this was much longer than a half hour of power. This was like a 2.5 hour of power or some shit. I don't know how. I don't know time. My dogs have had it. They're just like, look, we've been quiet long enough. Wrap this shit up. Okay. Anyway, thanks everybody. The peanut butter platypuses, the aluminium squirrels, the Belvedere ball sitters, the Christmas dogs, and the syrupenises out there. Appreciate all of you. If you're new to this podcast and you've made it this far, you are in one of those categories. Just pick which one you like the best. That just means the people that listen to the show all the way through and put up with all of our bullshit. That's you. If you want to suggest any new names, please don't, because I have a hard time remembering the number that we have so far. Anyway, so that being said, do you have any parting words?
I don't want to waste my time, become another casualty of society. Never fall in line, become another victim of conformity. Later, dude.
Nice.
Da-da-da-da, 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 da-da-da-da.